It's Wednesday night here on Live Long and Podcast, and we're here to talk about our next installment of TED Treks as Ted Mader continues to watch original series episodes. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek movie and TV reviews, joined with my dad, Ted. How you doing, Dad?
Good. Very good.
We got esteemed panelist, Jody Simpson. How you doing, Jody?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And Adam Woodward.
Hello, excellent.
Hello and welcome, everybody. When we're here to talk about Wolf in the Fold from the second season, episode 7, sometimes episode 14, depending on what version you're going for. But we'll go with episode 7 tonight. And this is if you're not familiar, is the Jack the Ripper episode of Star Trek: The Original Series. I think a couple of us maybe have seen this for the first time. At least in Adam's case, I believe this to be the case. So. Adam, you were messaging us the other night while you were watching this, so I want to start with you because I think you had this was not one you were familiar with. What would you have to say about Wolf in the Fold?
Without giving too much away, because I know we'll get into it, it was a crazy episode. Like, honest to God, it didn't go the way I thought it would go. Number one, I thought poor Scotty was like he was just looking so dumb the whole episode and not understanding what's going on to me. But it was interesting. I was engaged. I wanted to know what happened.
Yeah, it was definitely something. It was.
That's a good way to explain it. Definitely something.
Yeah, let's expand on that, Jody. How would you? What kind of something was this for you?
Well, if you like Scotty, this is a Scotty episode. For sure, there's a lot of Scotty in it. Not that it's really paints him in a nice picture, but he's in there. I guess the biggest takeaway I get from this episode, other than the aforementioned, Jack the Ripper type vibe to it, is that literally this is probably the most chauvinistic episode of Star Trek ever. It's up there anyway. It's like top 5 for sure. Like, I'm not like some sort of like, women's rights thing or anything, but it's like I'm all for them. So it's kind of aggravating to watch it at times. Just because you're like, wow, they really do paint women absolutely terrible in this episode.
Some of the dialogue, some of the scenes, yeah, they're a little
even Spock. Like, even Spock gets into it, and like Spock usually doesn't get into anything like that.
Yes. And on that, Dad, Wolf in the Fold. Every week you pick an episode. I don't know what maybe drove you to pick this episode, but what are your thoughts on Wolf in the Fold?
Well, I thought this was kind of a unique episode because it was Scotty getting charged with murders all over the place but that little weasel there, the guy who was I don't know if you remember, you wouldn't remember, Adam I think does, but it was that little weasel guy, who the creature was inside.
Hengist?
That guy used to be the little weasel on Disney movies every Sunday night when we would watch The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg and all those kind of movies. Every Sunday Disney be on, and he would be the kind of the guy that everybody hated. That guy.
Right. The actor you're mentioning is John, what's his name? John Donald Fiedler.
Okay.
He died in 2005, but he played this episode. He was on the comedy series The Bob Newhart Show, playing the beloved character of Piglet in Disney's animated Winnie the Pooh films. I knew there was something about this voice.
Yeah,
he was in a lot of Disney made-for-TV. I don't know if there were movies or if it was Disney's Wonderful World that was on. I think it was an hour show, maybe. Yeah, it was Sunday nights.
Sunday night, 6:00 after Wild
Sunday
King.
night, 6:00. Yeah.
Right. He was good in this episode, although it's pretty obvious that he's the one who's the murderer for a while, and that he's trying to pin it on Scotty, especially through that trial scene. But it takes the main characters a while to kind of clue or put the dots together here. But let's get into the whole premise, okay? And on that note, I am going to also just bring up a shot of that actor, just who we were speaking to, because I was working. There he is. That's the guy who plays the villain of this episode.
Yeah, that's him. The little weasel.
Yeah,
John
you
feeds
won't
them.
recognize him. You need to hear the voice. It's
The voice is
Yeah.
very distinct.
Yeah, very distinct, and I thought he was actually good in this. Although I don't know if the
Oh, he's a
writing
good actor.
supports it. Yeah,
He's
he's a better
amazing,
actor
yes.
than it is an episode.
I think he voiced some cartoons too.
Oh,
For
he
sure.
said Piglet in Winnie
Yeah.
the Pooh.
Is it
Oh,
Piglet?
isn't that right? He's Piglet. Excellent.
Oh, that's right. He is Piglet. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember that because I remember it in the credits. All right.
Yeah, I was like, I know this voice because you know when you just hear like it's not the Piglet voice, but it's you. There's something in the inference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole premise is that they're on this planet at the beginning of the episode called Argelis, which is not unlike Ryza, I guess. It's kind of like a hedonistic society that's very liberal with getting it on. It's
like that episode of Next Gen with all the white costumed people.
Yeah, the one where Wesley Crusher was gonna get the lethal
and
injection.
he was gonna get killed because he trampled on flowers or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, playing baseball. And that's what you get. But yeah, here it's kind of like they bring Scotty here because apparently there was some kind of an accident on the ship. There was an explosion. He got brain damage of some kind, but he's physically recovered from this. But apparently a woman crew member was somehow responsible, and now he resents all women. What do you
if
make
that
of it?
ain't a basis for a solid episode, I don't know what is.
You seem to get over it pretty quick.
Yeah, he seemed to be getting over it. So Kirk brings him to this planet basically to get him laid so that won't resent women anymore.
Makes sense.
Dad, what do you think of Kirk's plan?
I thought it was a pretty good plan. I guess this planet was, if it hadn't been for that little weasel, it would have probably been a fine plan.
Right.
And Kirk was going to let him take the belly dancer, and
Yeah.
him and McCoy were going to head across town to another place that Kirk knew.
Yeah, they were going to pick up some other ladies, I think, somewhere else.
Yeah, they were going up across town to get their own action, but they figured they set Scotty up, and away they went. Until the scream in the fog.
And couldn't they have spent some money on a good belly dancer? Like, I've seen belly dancers live, and I can tell you they definitely aren't as bad as that lady was.
So victim number one, the belly dancer.
Brutal. She deserved it.
Jarvis, was that her name? No, Jarvis was the guy who was also Landrew. But the first,
I can't remember her name.
I can't remember the first belly dancer. I think it's Morla or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Terrible belly dancer though.
Yeah, I guess I'm not.
I could have
an
did better,
aficionado.
Dave. Let's put that.
I'm not an expert in the belly dancing, per se.
You should be.
It's
but
magical art.
What do you expect?
She also had those little clacker things.
Yeah.
Which
Arabians use those.
This episode made me think of an episode of Get Smart, which is a show from the same time period, the 1960s, which I was a big fan of as a kid. And in Get Smart, there's an episode where there's not a belly dancer. I think she was like Mexican dancer or something with the clackers, but she was doing Morse code, and then chaos got her. So that's anyway.
Yeah, this lady wasn't nearly that talented.
No, she wasn't as good as that secret.
I think they
spy.
literally just found somebody on the lot and said, "Okay, we're going to put you in a belly dancer outfit and just wiggle around. No one will care. You'll be dead in a minute anyway."
Yeah, and she was going to marry that guy, but she didn't love him, according to the dad, who was also the music player.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was odd. Adam, let's come back to you. This whole premise. Scotty hates women, but
I said earlier it's a crazy episode. It is so outdated. It is so misogynistic. It doesn't work today. It was embarrassing, honestly, going back, 50 years or whatever.
That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, that
it's like Code of Honor from Next Gen. It's that embarrassing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It felt like Miri a little bit, where you just
okay.
Not as bad, Jody. I get it, but
oh, God.
But it really goes back to that time where women were not equal, and even Scotty's attitude. Well, if a man had done it, there would be no accident. I mean, come on, So you start off with a sort of a bad feeling about this episode, honestly, but I still wanted to know how it all comes together.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's as bad as Miri, but it's...
Well, Miri had this weird, creepy thing with Kirk and this, I don't know, whatever.
Let's not speak of Miri again.
But this is like kind of demeaning to, I guess, particularly women. And it's, yeah, you're right. It's aged pretty badly. And a few of these original series episodes have. Like, yes. And I think it's like, I kind of, when I watch this kind of stuff, I think about how much stuff like Discovery and like the new modern era has tried to retcon. And I'm like, well, maybe it's for the best sometimes, because obviously this stuff hasn't aged well. But then there's other original series episodes with this cast that is very much not that are still stand up, still hold up, that we've given great marks to on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think this particular episode really shows its age.
Yes, I agree with that.
Well, even like, I think even when it first came out, I think people were still kind of clued in, because you're starting to get to the liberal type environment at that point at the end of the 60s, right? So I would imagine like some women, this probably didn't sit too well with even then, so because they were just kind of starting to get that vibe going,
Yeah.
Almost in a way, it almost feels like they did it on purpose, just to like bring them down a bit.
Right. And also, I guess Jack the Ripper, which is what comes up here. This is a Jack the Ripper story. And I guess people are still fascinated with Jack the Ripper after nearly 2 centuries.
Yeah, my wife was in the background watching. He goes, "How do they still know what Jack the Ripper is?" They said, he's a famous killer. I mean, here we are, 200. It's been 200 years for us. But Jack
200 years for us, yeah.
Almost 200, yeah.
He's still part of our lore. He started part of our folklore. I mean,
we know it anyway. I wouldn't expect my kids to know everything about it, but they probably know the name at least.
He's a bad guy, and that's all you need to know, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's a lot of entertainment over in my lifetime that have tried to say, well, actually, Jack the Ripper was this person. And Star Trek, I don't know. I don't know if they were the first ones to do it, but they're maybe one of the earlier ones.
Probably not. In
this story. And the series of murder, these are pretty violent, brutal murders. Like the first victim, you don't really see it so much on her, but with the second victim, which is Lieutenant Tracy, I think you see like these stab wounds in the back. Not a lot of blood, but it's not that I'm asking for it either, but it was kind of, I don't know if they would do this even like this far now, in the way that this was depicted, in some ways.
Well, there was some of the later Next Gens episodes were kind of like that, though. I remember that episode where the person that jumped into the warp conduit or whatever. And then we've seen some pretty like graphic weird stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
we've seen some graphic things over the years. I don't know. It's a bit unsettling, I think, is what
the shock factor of it.
Yeah, they're pretty common. Like they're like bodies are flying and they're dropping in this episode, right? And they're all like, "Hey, have a drink with us." And then the buddy's wife gets killed. She's the third victim, the seance master. How does that happen? Like, I don't understand. Like,
you know what kills me about Star Trek in the original series is that when they lose a crew member like Lieutenant Tracy, who actually I was quite, this is interesting, but she didn't last long. But they just move on. Like, somebody died, let's move on.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of mourning or anything.
No.
Yeah, but he's holding on for Scotty in this episode. He's pretty convinced Scotty is innocent, even though it's not looking good for Scotty. And they don't even like arrest him, confine him, even after 2 murders.
No.
Yeah.
Does this feel like a misstep? Like, wouldn't it have been good to?
It seemed like that planet didn't have a police force.
Yeah, it's almost like they never expected something like that to happen, so they never had any sort of plan.
I don't think they had a police force.
It's almost like it's almost like they didn't have an enforcement because they didn't need it or something.
But they did have a very strict, if you're caught killing somebody, they have a strict
we're going to
penalty.
slowly torture you to death. That was the penalty. Not even just death, slow torture death, which was, the Argelians, maybe they weren't as progressive as they are now.
But
I read something on this episode that if you're introducing your feminist girlfriend to Star Trek for the first time, this might not be the best starter episode.
No, and Miri wouldn't be a good first date episode either. So don't do that.
No, Miri.
Yeah, like it's pretty common that all of these original, or many of these original series writers had some pretty antiquated views on women. That even Gene Roddenberry, right? Like as progressive as
Oh, he was one of the worst.
not
women,
not
yeah.
always, like, you know, would throw weird dialogue in, like and famously, we haven't watched this episode, but the very last episode of original series to air, there was like this. I haven't really watched it in a long time, but basically Kirk says, "Oh well, women aren't allowed to become Starfleet captains." Right?
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
And
yeah,
it's like it's kind of one of like the dark stains on Star Trek, and especially since it's the last episode of the 79, that they just threw a ton of this in there.
Well, and on Adam's suggestion, I started watching Discovery, and it's almost like it's gone full circle. Now it's gone to the point where everybody's gay. It's like, like how is the world procreating then? Like, how is this happening? But anyway, I'm not against any of that. I'm just saying it's kind of weird that we've kind of gone to a different type of, you know, kind of norm, like where the norm in the original series was, you know, very masculine, very,
yeah,
you know,
like kind of these
all women need help and blah blah blah. And now it's almost like the women are pretty much the more powerful beings, at least in Discovery anyway. And you know, all the kick-ass people are all women, and either they're straight and they're hard ass, or they're, you know, hard ass and they're gay, or they're trans, or whatever the hell it is now.
Mhm.
And it's all that. It's like it's kind of almost in a full circle.
Yeah, like we've talked about this in the past. Like these episodes are in all of these Star Trek shows are very much products of their time. Just like Next Generation is a product of the 80s, and
of course
Voyager and Deep Space Nine are products of the 90s. This is a product of the 60s, and these guys are World War II vet guys. Like that's who the writers are. That's who these actors are. They come from a different time, and so I try to look at it through that lens a little bit, but you know, like you
absolutely need to, and recognize the time difference. It's just so evident how much time has passed.
No, Archie Bunker was 10 years away almost from this.
Right. Yeah. He hadn't come along to
anybody watch that show.
TV today.
They would have a hard time with it. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. And that wasn't even coming out for 10 years. So
at least wouldn't be rated like it was back then. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
All right. So
that would be on HBO or something.
Yeah, and just on the plot of this episode, like it's a fun mystery, but you kind of know like that it's this guy, the administrator
well, you know it
guy.
Can't be Scotty. You already know that. You know that from like day one on this episode. Sure. Like you're like, it can't be Scotty.
It's not one of our main characters, but who is it?
Yeah.
And they only have so many. Basically, anybody at that seance is a suspect.
Pretty much, yeah.
Really, like, who is it? It's either the jealous boyfriend,
the father,
yeah, or the prefect,
or Piglet,
Piglet.
It's obviously Piglet,
right?
But you know, after that seance, though. So his wife is killed. He didn't again. Like there was just no. My wife.
There's no reaction. Yeah, he's like, my wife's dead now. You know?
Yeah, he does not like. He is not too broken up about it. He goes to. He's very.
He wasn't too broken up. That's why he could have been a suspect.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It did make him more suspicious, I thought.
Maybe he was happy because he didn't have a prenup or something.
Possibly.
And just for everybody who's watching, at that Jody on Twitter, feel free to comment and yell at me. It's fine.
Like, I don't even know what to ask you guys exactly, because
you know what? Honestly, as I'm watching this episode, I'm like, how are we going to do a show about this? Like, it's just so over the top. Like we managed to do an episode of the space hippies, for Christ's sakes, and that's even easier than this episode to talk about. And that's a stupid episode. Like, what can you do about this episode? Honestly, I think Adam's reaction is probably the best reaction we got out of all this. That is the review right there. What's going on?
Right.
You know,
all right. Well, let's look at it this way. Maybe who stands out in the episode the most for you, like in terms of a performance?
Well, I think Scotty to a degree. I don't know if everybody else agrees with that, but I think Scotty too a little bit. Kirk stands out, but for all the wrong reasons. Same thing with
The girls
Spock.
there,
Even
Jody.
like,
The girls there.
yes, there are girls there.
Remember at the end where he's after they've had the laughing gas, which we have to get to. But he's like, "Oh man, the girls there are so."
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's like a bunch of 20-year-olds in this or early 20s in this strip club for like they're that.
Yeah, this is the going to the strip club for the first time when you're young in Montreal. Like that's what this is.
Yeah,
I can drink and look at naked ladies. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that everybody's there is pretty much willing to get down. It's kind of like Jaemeel Haran on Ryza, and I think Kirk is good in the episode. I think does anyone find it odd with Spock in this episode? Not just the line you brought up earlier, Jody, that he says that
his mannerisms and everything are wrong.
Everything in this episode is about Spock is wrong to me.
My theory is that it actually was supposed to be flipped around, and then at the last minute they changed it. So I think what actually was supposed to be was Spock was supposed to be Scotty in this episode, and Scotty was supposed to be Spock. I actually think that would have made more sense.
Possibly.
Because Spock, like most of his lines don't even make sense for the character. Like it's
because the first time that Kirk even talks to him in the episode, like he's like, "Well, I think we should beam Scotty up and get him off that planet," and Kirk's the one having to say, "No, we have to like follow the local laws and we have to like go by their customs here."
Yeah,
it feels like the each other's words are in each other's mouth there.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like they just literally like shook it and said, "Okay, this one's going to be Kirk, this one's going to be this." Like there wasn't really anything that made the dialogue distinct for any of those characters. Like it's almost like the dialogue was like universal for all of them. At least that's the impression I got. I don't know if you guys got that, but
yeah, me too.
Spock stands out as the worst though, because like literally most of what he says doesn't make much sense for that character as we know it.
Well, the other big thing he says is that women have more sheer terror and fear.
Yes. Apparently, they scare easier.
They scare easier. It's for a hungry red jack.
I got a 16-year-old son that would prove that wrong. But anyway,
there you go. Any other thoughts about like what we talked about this actor, Piglet? I'm sorry,
Piglet.
Yeah.
Forever, it is now the bad guy is Piglet.
Yeah, Piglet's the Jack the Ripper. John Fiedler, he's excellent, but he's almost like he stands out almost too much because he's obviously plays a bigger role. And what about the administrator? Was his name Tark? No, that's the dad. Tark is the dad of the first victim.
Isn't it like Reddick or something like that? Or
it's Jarrus, Administrator Jarrus, right?
Jarrus, okay.
Yeah, who I believe is also Landrew. If we remember Landrew from our episode where they were festival. Peace and tranquility to you, my friend. Are you of the body?
Which episode is this?
Landrew.
I'm trying to remember which one it is.
The name of it is. We did it. We did it a few weeks back. Oh man, it's been.
Was that the Rock one?
For the world is hollow, and I have touched the sky. Is that what it's called?
That sounds like one we've done recently.
Yeah, that was the Rock one, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, that's the Rock one. Where the Rock.
Yeah, you're right. No. Oh, the Return of the Archons is the one.
Return of the Archons. Okay.
Is the episode with Landrew, and so yeah, like I thought he was fun in this episode. I thought he was good.
Right.
He's all right.
This episode is just, to me, it's mediocre. It had a good premise. It's just the execution was terrible. Just like Miri.
Just like Miri.
Some of that episode was fantastic. Just not well executed.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So let's get to, I guess, after the seance, after these 3 murders, and they finally decide we're going to the ship because we don't want there to be any doubt whether or not Scotty's the murderer. And they're like, if we hook him up to the lie detector, we're going to know. So we get the whole lie detector scenes, which they will bring back in later Star Trek episodes when they would have other hearings, especially if they were against any of the protagonist cast. So, you put your hand on the thing, you go, this is identify Montgomery Scott, Lieutenant Commander, serial number, whatever. And,
You do that pretty good, Dave.
Yeah, I should play the computer on original series. And this is like, I guess this was like a cool thing to show. Like, what if you put a guy in the stand and he even if he's under oath, he can't lie, right? And that it would change, like,
it's an easy way to sum up an episode quickly, I guess.
Right. Well, just what the realities of having that in your life would be, or in your justice system would be, a bit intriguing, and how good it works. There's a few examples where Kirk goes, "Scotty, lie to me. How old are you?" And he goes, 22. Incorrect. He's lying. But the more that Piglet protests here, isn't it the more we realize he's the murderer, or the group should? I guess or maybe they before they even say it, like, they're pretty sure, because I don't know how they could not be.
They just knew Scotty didn't do it at that point, I think.
Yeah.
So, I think they obviously knew somebody else did it, but they didn't know who, or they're pretty. Anyway.
But okay, my question was if they know Scotty didn't do it, what is it? Okay, the thing was, when they figure out it's Piglet, right? They go, well, that name that she said in the seance, that was a name of a murderer from Rigel 4, which is where this guy is from, or this person, this entity is pretending to be is from. But once they know the knife is from Rigel 4, that's the smoking knife, if you will, or the smoking gun. Why? Just because that doesn't prove anything still.
I guess Rigel 4 is far away, so
time constraints, I don't know.
Okay.
That's the connection.
Kirk had to get back to partying, guys. Like, come on.
Yes. Right. But then I guess this entity that's so powerful, he really waits until the very last moment before it kind of makes its move here, even though it's clearly that everybody's onto it. Did it play this right? I guess not, because we saw the ultimate fate. But
well, your mother was watching it, and she said to me, "Why did they leave that dead guy just lying there on the table? Why didn't they take him away? They just left him there, like, folded over, right?"
Yeah.
And she said, "That's kind of weird."
Considering they have a morgue on board the ship, yes, especially.
Yeah.
And they have,
of course, he went back into the body.
Yeah, he goes back into the body, but he jumps into the computer first, right? As Red Jack, as the Jack the Ripper alien ghost thing. And so they go, well, he's going to turn off the life support, but not before he scares us and eats up all of our yummy fear. And so the best is when Kirk calls over the intercom. He's like, "Hey, everybody, stay at your stations and be calm." That should do it, right?
That solves everything.
And then like, he says to Jarrus, "Okay, stay here. I'm going to go to the bridge with Spock." And like, as Kirk and Spock are walking down the corridor, there's like this woman walking behind them that's super happy. Like, I'm like, they're not scared of anything. Like, on the ships, they were having smiley like, you saw that?
Yes.
Did you get Sulu's line when he said, "We're scared. We're scared of nothing"?
I never heard of a malfunction trying to kill us or something like that. No, it's It's a good
wait
line.
until some of the other series there, pal. There's a lot of malfunctions in the later ones.
Right. So it becomes this mad scramble. But okay, why don't, if they know that they're in danger of this entity killing them by turning off the air, basically the air and the heat, but the transporter works, they can leave, or why not try to evacuate the ship or some people off the ship?
Time constraints.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right. And then they start. Wait, did Jarrus die? No, he was possessed, right?
He was possessed. Yeah, I don't think he died.
No, I think Spock gave him the old thing.
Gave him the tranquilizer, right?
Yeah.
And then but then they give like this laughing gas tranquilizer, which is meant to keep everybody's fear level down. And they beam him into space at maximum dispersion.
That's
so
right.
That
Yes.
He's just so is this cruel and unusual?
No.
No.
It's not for him.
Not for him. This was
No, he killed lots of people on all different planets.
He's now threatening the crew. It's time to deal with him. Yeah, get him out.
Right.
You gotta get him off the ship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why doesn't the tranquilizer work on Spock? Is he just hiding it?
He's got the control.
He's got the control.
It's mind over
Doesn't work
matter.
on him.
Yeah.
Right.
He can drink a lot of Romulan ale.
It doesn't work with green blood, Dave.
Right.
Yeah, it must be the green blood.
Did anyone like when Spock shoved the transporter chief out of the way and he was like,
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
like, you didn't have to shove me, Mr. Spock. Oh, I would have.
Yeah,
We'll get around to it sooner or later.
another example on why I think the writing was a little off on this episode.
But that whole the scene on the bridge with Sulu acting very stupid and goofy, like that dumb grin on his face. But I just didn't like this episode.
Whoever he
He had
is,
a-
he sure
if
talks
he-
gloomy.
He needs a cape. If he had a cape, it would be better.
No. And
All right.
So
well,
I got to read this thing though, Dave.
Okay.
So I was reading this review just before we came on, and one of the guys says this is him talking about the ending of the episode, which I think we're on now, are we not?
yeah, we're pretty much ready for fun facts, but actually, so yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm doing fun
Fun
facts
facts
today.
with Jody.
But anyway, so this is from a review. This guy writes, he goes, after successfully solving the grisly triple murder case, Kirk's first order of business, obviously, it's let's go to the nearest nightclub and continue the sex party that is so inconveniently cut short by that bothersome and inconsiderate spectral murderer. Good times.
Well, I think that's accurate, isn't it?
That's amazing. I'm like, that sums it right up right there. All right, so I need to get fun facts going on here. Oh, geez, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, you're the designate when Jeff's not here.
Yeah, I'm kind of the standby. All right, no problem. Just give me 1 second here.
well, we learned that Piglet is the voice of that bad guy.
Clearly, yes. So that would be
That guy was in a ton of shows. He was in 59 different shows. Like Get Smart. He was in Gunsmoke. Frankenstein. The Addams Family. He was in all kinds of them.
Did he make the Love Boat though?
I don't think so.
Darn.
12 Angry Men, True Grit.
12 Angry Man. I remember he was one of the jurors. That was a great movie.
Juror 2, yes.
The Shaggy DA. Remember the Shaggy DA?
I remember that. That's classic.
Yeah, he was in there. He was in there.
All right, we ready for some fun facts, guys?
You're up.
Give it to us.
It's fun facts with you should have Jeff and then scratched out and then put Jody. That would have been funnier. Anyway, next time. So this is one of the only episodes where Uhura and Chekhov both do not appear in the episode. We already kind of knew that, but that was interesting, I guess.
Time constraints.
Yes. In the late 1980s, a pop band by the name of Information Society, which I actually do know, sampled Scotty's line from the episode where he says, "Let's go see," in their song "Walk Away."
See, that's the second song they did that too. They took Spock's Pure Energy line for another song. I sent it to Dave one time.
Yeah. Beastie Boys threw some stuff in too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. William Shatner and Joseph Bernard previously appeared together in the movie Judgment at Nuremberg, which is from 1961. So Joseph Bernard, he was the trying to remember his character name.
Wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
War Crimes.
Yep. Okay, so this is one of the very few episodes of the second season to feature music composed by Alexander Courage, mainly because of a feud between Courage and Gene Roddenberry and his resulting withdrawal from the series. So this is only one of a few episodes that was scored by him, which is interesting. For most of Star Trek, James Doohan, which obviously plays Scotty, hides his right hand, which is missing the middle finger due to a World War II D-Day injury. While being questioned with his hand resting in some sort of lie detector scanner, his fingers are hidden from being curled around the edge of the plate. During the close-up shot of the machine reacting to the intentional lie being told, a complete 5-fingered hand spread across the plate is seen. The hand is obviously a stunt double.
Yes.
Obviously, because he doesn't have that finger. So
I think if they were writing that show today, they probably would have shown the hand, like some kind of injury as an engineer or something.
They would have explained it, yeah. But now they at the time, and I guess for himself, he didn't want to be limited to as a 9-fingered actor or something. So he covered it up. But here he is, a photo. If you're watching along with us on Facebook or YouTube, this is James Doohan here on Remembrance Day in his Canadian uniform in World War II, where he lost that finger.
And we happen to be recording on Remembrance Day, so that's kind of suiting.
Yes.
Okay, nice little tie-in that we didn't plan at all. Anyway, this episode is one of 2 times where they mention Scotty's first name, Montgomery, in the original series. The other is in the episode, Is There in Truth No Beauty, where he's actually introduces himself as Marvick. So just so you know that.
Well, I'm glad he was Montgomery, not Marvick.
Yes,
he also says he's from Aberdeen too, right? He's
Aberdeen in Scotland.
Yes, I believe so.
I was over there a few years ago.
Now, this is probably one of my favorite ones. Scotty would later refer to the events of this episode in the Star Trek Next Generation episode Relics.
Oh.
That's the one where he was on the Dyson Sphere. He crash landed on it, I believe. On that occasion, he describes his being implicated for the brutal murders of 3 women on Argelis 2 as, quote, a wee bit of trouble.
Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. Not a lot, just a wee bit.
Triple murder, serial killer.
No, he had a concussion, didn't remember it all. It's okay.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. This is one of this episode has one of the longest scenes in the original series, which is an uninterrupted scene, which is clocking in at approximately 15 minutes and 30 seconds. The courtroom hearing that constitutes virtually the 3rd act of the episode appears to be the longest uninterrupted scene confined to a single setting in the original series.
Really? That was the longest, even more than like the one where they had the trial for Spock when he stole the
Apparently
Enterprise to take Pike
This
down?
is longer.
Okay, interesting.
This one also had a very long opening act before they got to the music.
That's true. They did.
From the belly dancer to the murder, that was quite long.
Yeah, they must have cut some of this out because, okay, when I watch this on Netflix, like these episodes are over 50 minutes, most of them, but most like
15 is what I said, not 50.
No, 5, but the entire episode is 50, right?
Yes.
And so, but like next gen episodes, they're all like 45 minutes long. So this is
but you got to remember, TV back then didn't have the same commercial breaks that we do now. We have what? It's 8 minutes for every 30. So
it's basically
22 minutes.
22 minutes for every 30. Yeah. So you have 8 minutes of
exactly.
commercial.
Nancy Crater's scream from Star Trek, the original series, The Man Trap, which was in 1966, is reused as Kara's scream when she is killed. So the exact same scream.
It was a Kara. That was the first victim. Kara. I should have remembered that.
Yeah, Kara.
You should remember that one.
Yeah, I should have. Mm-hmm.
That definitely is one that you probably should have remembered, yes. Anybody who doesn't know that would know if they know you. Anyway, a few months after Wolf in the Fold was broadcast, guest star John Fiedler took on the voice of Piglet in Winnie the Pooh in The Blustery Day in 1968.
So he wasn't Piglet yet.
He wasn't technically Piglet yet.
This is pre-Piglet.
This is pre-Piglet. This is his pre. Piglet was his post-Star Trek work. He was then reprised the role on several occasions, making one of his most enduring roles. So obviously, just after that is when he started Piglet, and he kept on with it for a while. Let's see if we got one more. I think we got time for one more. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah. You're better at this than Jeff.
I don't know about that, but anyway. I'm just reading, dude. John Fiedler once stated that his role of Hengist, which is the chief administrator possessed by the spirit of Jack the Ripper, was the one role in his long career that he was most asked about by his fans.
Interesting.
So, apparently this is the one that hit it home for all of his fans.
He did some pretty cool stuff, as we've mentioned here tonight. So a notable guest star. I think he's good in the episode, but the episode's not particularly good itself. But let's rate it. Let's get into the ratings here, as we've kind of talked about this.
You're not gonna like it.
Yeah, that's.
I think Adam and I are on the same page.
Jody, why don't you go? Why don't you start us off?
You know what? Honestly, what did I give Miri? 4.5.
Miri, you gave a 4.5.
Yeah, you know what? It's around there. I'm gonna give it. You know what? I'm gonna give it better than Miri because Miri just drove me absolutely nuts. I'm gonna give this a 5.5.
Okay.
It had some good stuff in it, but
over to Adam.
5.
5.
When you
close
the longest scene, I think I fell asleep because I don't remember that being that long. So.
Over to Dad.
I'll give it a 6, Dave.
6.
I'll push it up a little bit.
Jeff's not here, and I'll give it like about the same. It's like about a 6 for me. It's nothing that great, but I don't think it's bad other than the super misogynistic stuff, which we said is kind of just a product of the time, but
it is, but it affects the view,
the rewatch value.
Yeah.
So with our 4 ratings, this averages at 5.6, which is an exact tie with Miri, an episode we've talked about a lot tonight. And then this has a 7.4 on IMDb. Take that for what it's worth. So
I just want to note that Adam likes Miri more than this.
He does.
Just because I like the guy. I like the character John.
Yes, the John character in Miri was good.
Right. My plan eventually is to take this data too, and we're going to kind of look at how the 3 seasons kind of match up for all of us and what we thought, because we don't really think about that too often with this podcast. But Dad, do you have something in mind to watch next?
Oh, I do, and it's going to be more Chekhov and more Aurora next week.
More Chekhov and Aurora because we didn't have them this week. Is that why?
That's right. The Trouble with Tribbles.
Excellent.
I love that episode.
All right. Yeah, they're in that.
This one we need something better.
We need something. Yeah. We need some comedy here to
again, with the trouble with
episode 15.
Even though this episode ended in laughter after he's like, murder's solved. Let's go to the brothel. Woo!
Wow.
Hey,
to his credit, not a bad idea.
With a strip club or whatever your allegory is in this situation.
Can you show the ratings again, please?
Oh, sure.
I just want to see what last week was again.
We did Taste of Armageddon last week.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, this was a bit of more of a down one, but overall, if you look at like our average ratings, we like these episodes. I'd say
I'm the hardest one by the looks of it.
You and Jeff, but that's usually the case.
Pretty normal for me and Jeff, though.
Yeah, so.
Jeff and I are like the cynical part of the group.
You're the ones you're the harder to impress people, so it's okay. It's and sometimes Kevin, he's kind of.
Well, I have to get Adam credit. I have started watching season 3 of Discovery. I can't say I hate it. It's not bad.
Oh man!
Very confusing though if you don't know what the hell happened before this.
I couldn't get it last week, and I didn't see it. I saw it on Sunday, and that episode was so bloody good.
When the 6 hosts came out, and that was great. But I don't want to spoil it for you. Also, I saw Dad last night, and Dad, you were watching Star Trek 2009, the film with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto.
Were you?
Yeah, that was on.
How did that go down?
It went good, yeah.
It's a great episode. Great movie.
I was trying to explain to him. I'm like, well, this is like a different universe with a different timeline. He's like, what? I don't know what you mean.
But honestly, Ted, just stop there.
Yeah.
Don't do the other 2.
The 2 sequels aren't that great, but
no.
And it's
McCoy,
not.
Well, that's when he met McCoy.
Listen to them. It's good. It's all good.
It's good. That movie is good, but that is not the same. Those are not the same people.
I've long suspected that Adam is on drugs, and I'm just. It's now been confirmed.
No. Let me clarify this. Into Darkness, I really liked. I did like it. Beyond, no.
Beyond was terrible.
Way better.
But I'm with Dave though. They're both pretty bad. But if I had to watch between the 2 of them, I think I'd watch Beyond before I watch Into Darkness.
Yes, I definitely would. Yeah. except for the uniforms are great in Into Darkness. So we've been kind of alluding to all of our other Star Trek podcasts, so we're going to wrap it up for tonight.
I was trying to cut into a segue.
No, it was good. That was a good segue, Jody.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, so here on Live Long and Podcast, Tuesday nights we talk Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We're in the second season, about halfway through now. We're getting through all the bad episodes.
You're almost to the good stuff.
We're almost to the good stuff. So we're getting there. Check that out every Tuesday night here on Wednesdays, our original series. On Thursday nights, right now, we already did Star Trek Lower Decks. Now we're doing Star Trek Discovery season 3. That's airing right now, as we've been talking about. So check that out. Adam is on that podcast along with my wife Jane and Michael Chan. And then on the weekends we do Star Trek Radio Theater. This week we're doing Star Trek Voyager on Saturday night, and we're going to be doing an episode called Memorial, which is. And we randomly pick these episodes. But
I know that episode.
It's not necessarily the funnest episode, but I think we're going to try to make it fun.
Well, I'm sure you can make it better.
It's got the only appearance of hockey, or the first appearance of hockey in Star Trek. So, hey, why not just get on board with that? So check that out.
Hockey?
Yeah, there's hockey. Well,
there's actually, yeah.
I'm playing a television dad. I'm playing the television playing hockey. So check that out. That's one of my roles. For Saturday night, I'll
definitely
be like,
one to put on your resume.
He shoots, he scores. There we go. And our other channels, Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where we talk about scripted and unscripted shows that aren't Star Trek. Me and Jeff and Jaemeel, and then we also have Trivial Debates, where we do our monthly argument about movies, TV, sports, and more. So.
I just want to mention, if you see in the background of Adam's thing, he's got the iconic Alien poster, which I did win that question from Trivial Debates. That was the poster I picked for being the most iconic movie poster.
I don't like the Alien franchise. I don't even recognize the poster until someone tells me that's what it is.
It's so bad. Oh, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I know. Jane almost divorced me when I told her I didn't like Alien.
You know what? So, honestly, I would take her down to get the paperwork done. Like, that's just terrible.
All right. Well, Jane says, "Yay, Jody."
Thank you, Jane.
All right. Let's sign up. Thank you.
Jane just went up about 10 notches in my. I don't even know her really well.
I think you respectively have got your stocks have gone up with each other, so that's good.
It's important.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll be talking Discovery tomorrow. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Jody. Jeff, wherever you are. And we'll
Why
see.
Are we thanking him? He didn't do shit.
No, thanks to Jeff.
No thanks to Jeff this episode.
Yes. He did help, but he'll be back. We'll be doing Trouble with Tribbles